Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Link to the Cure Marathon. I'm nowhere to be seen right now, but hopefully it's not that bad. Where did I even go? Okay, here I am. Alright, cool. Alright, that's enough of that. That's not what you're here for. Okay, welcome to Link's Awakening Deluxe for the Game Boy Color. And this time, would my commentary crew introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Sebas. I'm a much newer runner, but I'm here to explain everything to you and all the different cool tricks we do during the run.
Right. Real quick, I'm gonna show up an Easter egg right off the bat here. If you name your file this, which means Zelda in English, then you get this nice classic Legend of Zelda theme on the file select screen. It's a little cool thing to do. It doesn't really do much. It doesn't really impact the run at all, but it's something that I like to do. This game's really hard. I'm not gonna be speaking much, unlike in NSMB2, because everything goes by really fast. I'm gonna try our best here. I'll chip in every once in a while. So if we're ready to go, I'm gonna go ahead and start in 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so this is Link's Awakening Deluxe. It's the remake/port of the original Link's Awakening from the original Game Boy. There's added color, there's a new dungeon, which you're not going to be seeing in this run at all, and there's added pictures, which again, you're not going to be seeing in this game at all. The category is called 80% No Wrong Warp, Out of Bounds, or No Save and Quit, which are 3 major restrictions that make up this run. It's basically just a traditional route through the game, while still showing off some of the cool tricks that Link's Awakening is known for.
Yep.
Out of bounds means that I can't be more than 3 tiles off of the boundaries of the game where I can't otherwise be on by normal means of gameplay. Wrong warp means every part of the game has to take me to where it's supposed to be. And then no save and quit basically means that if you save and quit in this game, then it takes you back to the last part that you came from, which does save time. This is kind of a very old category that has been run historically for several years.
Yep, and there is a particular reason why the no saving quit is important, besides just preventing easy backtracking.
Yeah, so we got the sword now. I did a little optimization where if you hold your shield out during the cutscene there, it actually extends Link's hitbox to where I can actually grab the sword before the owl flies away, and it saves about a few frames. That's called owl skip. It's not really owl skip, but that's what they call it. Or actually, no, it's called quick sword. Owl skip is coming up, but alright, we're going straight to the forest, and normally what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to go to the end of the forest to grab a toadstool, then trade it for magic powder, because there's a raccoon named Terran, or Terran has turned to a raccoon, the dad that we got the shield from, and we have to turn back into a human so that way he doesn't curse the forest again. But there's a major sequence break that skips all of that entirely.
Yep, it's pretty much our first major skip of the run.
Yeah, so we're gonna grab these 50 rupees, which are all the rupees that we need for the rest of the game. And then coming up is the trick, so I'll let you explain that.
Yep. So, coming up we have a Moblin skip, it's called. There is this pit that you're not supposed to be able to cross yet, however, we will be using a damage boost off of Moblin's arrow in order to get early. It's in itself not too hard, but you do need to get the Moblin to line up.
It's gonna take a few tries. This is kind of a reset point early on.
Yeah, there's not much you can do about it.
Okay. I could actually die here. My health is not looking good.
Oh no.
Alright. We got it, and then
Nice.
Immediately after, if I do this right, that looks kind of good. Please get it, please get it. No! Okay, so what I was trying to do there is owl skip. I was 1 frame off. If you open the save menu 1 frame after opening the chest, then then that gives you just enough time for the owl to not talk to you by the time you leave the screen. But we didn't get it, but that's fine. But since I left before the owl flew away, that means the cutscene still exists, which means that I have to not enter that screen at all, but I don't have to worry about that at all with this route.
Yeah. Something we'll be doing a lot that you might have noticed at the rupee chest is that if you open up the save and quit menu when you get an item, you just skip the text for it. It's a nice little time save we just do every single time we pick something up.
Yeah. So now that we have the rupees, we're gonna use those rupees to kind of do some stuff here in the village. And the first thing is we're gonna be playing the infamous trendy game. If you know anything about the Switch version of this game, it's very notorious for being bad. But in this one, oh my god, we got it first try! I can't believe it. It's so easy. Nobody messes us up.
It's super consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. We never got the powder from the witch. So this is where we get it instead, using the power of capitalism.
Yeah, so now we're gonna go shopping. There's a shovel, it's 200 rupees, but we don't have 200 rupees. I'm gonna walk away with it anyway. We're gonna go back in the shop, but oh wait, he's not happy. Oh no! I just died!
I love this. It's just like something they put into the game.
Yeah.
Super helpful for the run too. We can just shop now without enough money and never come back.
Yeah, fortunately, he lets us keep the item, even though we stole it. He's not happy, but yeah. Alright, so we're gonna buy a couple bombs that we need for the game, for some tricks later on. Then we're gonna take the bow. It's 980 rupees, pretty ridiculous amount for a bow, but we're gonna walk away with it again.
It's a really strong bow.
Yeah, it's really strong. And hopefully that'll be the last time we ever enter the shop, assuming the run doesn't go bad. But who would ever have the run go that badly?
Yeah, it's happened to me.
But yeah, so now we're gonna go straight to the first dungeon. And
Yep.
and from here on out, what I'm doing here is I'm actually counting the number of enemies that I kill, and that's because exclusive to Link's Awakening, there are two power-ups called Guardian Acorn and Piece of Power. Guardian Acorn we don't care about, but for Piece of Power, if I kill 30 enemies if I kill 30 enemies, then a Piece of Power will drop. And what the Piece of Power will do is it gives me a speed boost. A 1.5 times speed boost, as well as do extra damage, and so both those combined is very useful throughout this run.
Yep, it's nice to have in general, and Machan is going to be keeping track of however many kills he has, so that he gets them in dungeons. They disappear whenever you go in and out of dungeon, so you want to get them inside the dungeons in order to get the most out of them.
Okay, so that Spiny fell down the pit, which actually doesn't count as a kill, so I have to kill an extra enemy after the first dungeon.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. If you steal, then everybody calls you thief, so the file name so my Zelda file name is now useless.
Yep, and we're gonna do a little damage boost and get our first major item of the run, the Rock's Feather. It just straight up lets you jump, and it's actually incredibly useful. It's I'd say one of the most used items in the run.
Yeah, and so our first trick with the Rock's Feather is actually coming up, which I can explain it.
Yep. So in this game, you just clip into walls by walking into them from corners, and not only is this useful for shaving off seconds in movement, but coming right up, we're going to be clipping into a wall, and then jumping up on it and jumping off of it again, like that. And that's called a super jump, and we can just straight up use it to skip the key block and not have to waste the key on it.
Alright, hard boss coming up.
Yep.
Alright, I win.
Very difficult boss.
Yeah, okay, but actual hard boss coming up, though. Oh, okay. Okay, there we go. Alright. Yeah, this is actually the first, it's not hard in the sense that you're gonna die. Well, you could, but what makes that boss hard is that if you fall down, which is really easy to do, then you have to reset the fight. He gains all his health back, and you just lose a lot of time.
If you've played A Link to the Past, you also know how painful Moldrum can be.
Yeah, fortunately easier in this game, but it's still painful.
I'd say Moldrum is probably one of the hardest bosses for, like, new runners.
Yeah, definitely. Alright, so that's our first of 8 dungeons that we're going to be doing in the game, Tail Cave, and now we're going to be going straight to the next dungeon. Al's going to talk to us about stuff that we don't care about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there we go. Normally I kill 2 enemies there, but because I missed a kill in the first dungeon, I kill all 3 of them.
Yeah, the piece of power running really helps out a lot.
Yeah, and those guys there, they're gonna tell us about something that we don't know about. I don't know the story of this game. This game's in Japanese.
I do. It's the Moblins invaded the village and took Bow Wow. The chain chomp. And in fact, right now we're going over to rescue Bow Wow.
Yeah.
Because we need him to get into the dungeon. As a note, the piece of power is kind of a big reason why we do the no save and quit. Save and quitting resets the piece of power, so even though it's faster, you lose that aspect of the game entirely, which is something people are a fan of.
Yeah, and it also it resets if you save and quit or die. So it's very important to not die.
Yep, at least not until all your POP routing is done.
Yeah. And there's 3 parts of the run where piece of power is very important. Sometimes 4, but the 4th one no one really keeps track of.
Yeah, I believe the first 3 is where it really helps out the most.
Yeah, definitely. Alright, so we rescued Bow Wow from the Moblin King. And
Very nice.
you're supposed to return him, which, well, actually, if you keep him, if you try to return him now, then Meow Meow says, why don't you just walk with him a little bit? So that's what we're gonna do.
Yep, but you are supposed to return him after Dungeon 2 is done.
Yeah. Okay, so there were 2 things that happened there. One of which was Fluck Clip. You can actually use the text box that says that oh, you can't do this without this particular item, which buffers your movement by a few pixels, so that way we can clip through those rocks. And then to enter this dungeon, it's random because Bow Wow can sometimes take a long time to
Bow Wow
eat
is
the flower.
Yeah, Bow Wow is our best friend and our worst enemy.
Yeah.
You'll see more of that later. There is, in particular, one really important glitch that WoW can just completely mess up if it feels like it.
And also we got our piece of power now, so you can kind of notice how much faster we're going.
Yep. And as a note, Machan is doing jumps whenever he moves diagonally, because jumping diagonally doesn't slow you down in any way at all, whereas walking diagonally does.
Oh, and by the way, it's pronounced M-chan.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Very hard mini-boss.
And this trick is called, oh, nice, okay. Called Ghost Skip. If you, basically, as long as the boos are off the screen, then it triggers the chests to appear. Otherwise, you're supposed to light up the room and kill the boos.
I don't have time for that.
And this is the worst room in the game right here coming up.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Oh no. What do I do about this?
You need to kill the enemies in a very specific order.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Pulse Voice first, then the Bat, and then the Stealthos, I think?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you fail, then you have to reload the room somehow, and it loses a lot of time. And also, in this particular category, it would also mess with your kill count.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, the moment you pick up a piece of power, the count starts going again. There's like no breathing room.
Yeah. Alright, so Genie. First part here is pretty straightforward, but then the second part is where things get a little bit technical.
Yep. So M-Chance here is going to be dodging the flames. There's 8 of them exactly. And then he's going to be heading up to the top of the room in order to pick up the jar. Normally you need to hit it 3 times against the wall, but if we clip into the wall and throw it there, it'll just break immediately. And then with a nicely placed arrow and the bomb.
Yeah, that fight goes by really fast.
Nice.
So if you blink, if you blink, you missed it. It's really fast.
Yeah, it's really impressive too. We knock him just the right way so that the boss dies near the door and we don't have to walk out of our way to get the heart piece or the heart container. I think that's one of the more satisfying quick kills in the run.
Yeah.
Especially with how drawn out the normal boss fight is.
Alright, so that heart piece right there, managed to successfully dodge it twice. It's called the heart piece of shame. You lose like 3 seconds if you pick it up. So in most categories, you try to skip it. Otherwise, you get shamed on if you pick it up by accident.
Yep. So normally, this is a time where we'd be going to return Bow Wow. But we don't have time for that. So we're just going to not. In fact, there is a ton of story of this game that we're going to be skipping entirely with getting the Ocarina and Marin stuff and who knows what else. And there are some really interesting glitches we'll see later to make that happen.
Yeah, so this is our really big sequence break right here. Is this called Villa Skip? You want to explain that?
Yeah. So normally you need to go to Camelot Castle
nice.
to get the golden feathers. So Prince Richard from my favorite game can give you the access into his villa. But using this little jump down here, we just skipped that. Mchan was waiting for a specific audio cue. And on the frame that Link falls, you could just press down and go through the screen transition and end up in the villa.
And that can be a pretty and then also I clipped out to the outside of the garden there, Pottle Field, and that's because the game tries to put you on the next accessible tile below within the vertical axis that you transition from, which is how I was able to clip out of the garden.
Yep, that'll actually be used again later.
Yeah, and this is now the third dungeon, which is kind of our first execution-heavy level or a dungeon.
Yep. And you'll notice that you can just put in the key backwards. It doesn't care about whether you're actually touching the keyhole, just that you're pressing up against the block in the right direction. So that's a neat little trick to save some time. So now Mchan here is incrementing their kill count really quickly, and soon we're going to be doing what's known as the Dongo Skip, and it is one of the harder tricks in the run. It's a special super jump where you need to very quickly enter a room and then clink off at the dongo with a spin slash in order to change your vertical momentum of the super jump into a horizontal and kind of jump over some blocks. And nice, you got it. Then we're gonna be doing a super jump out in order to get the boots. And as you can imagine, these are also very nice to have.
So we're about to do Dongo Skip again here.
Yep, you thought it was scary having to do it once, and have to do it twice. And you can in fact soft block during this, if you land inside the block. And nice! And then with another flock clip, we can just head straight to the boss now. We have basically skipped, like, I'd say over half the dungeon.
Yeah, you're supposed to get a lot of keys, but with all these tricks that we're doing, we just skipped a ton of keys, which kind of obsoletes the name of this dungeon, Key Cavern.
And coming up is the slime boss.
Yeah, so Slime Eye right there. As you can see, it's Piece of Power is so useful in this dungeon that in every category we use Piece of Power in order to save a lot of time in the boss. Because with Piece of Power saves 10 seconds on Slime Eye. It's a lot of time.
Yep, just you have to get the double damage on the sword slashes near the end of the fight is huge, just because of how much time he spends in the air. And that's Dungeon 3.
Yeah, so the route's been somewhat straightforward so far, but this is where the game kind of gets a little bit non-linear, as we're actually not going to be doing the 4th dungeon right now.
Yep, you thought it was going to be D4, but it's actually not.
Yeah, you might be asking, like, oh, well then how are you gonna do the other parts of the game? You don't have those particular items from the 4th dungeon. Well, you'll see.
Yeah. As for the reason why we choose to do this, I guess I can explain that now. normally when you finish D4, a ghost shows up, and he forces you to do this kind of like long-winded side quest about finding his remains and such. And it's really long and annoying, and the game won't let you progress until it's done. However, if you get a certain items before you finish D4, that'll flag the quest as completed, and it'll never start in the first place. The main item we get from D6 is one of those items, so we're going to be doing that next.
Yeah. And instead, this is a pretty scary part of the run, as this is Armos Maze. If you get hit by these Armos statues, they do 2 hearts of damage, and because we have, because we're doing this so early, we have significantly less hearts than we're supposed to have.
Yep.
Really
and also
easy to
coming
die.
up... Yep, and also coming up is the Armos Knight fight, which I'm going to be quiet for, since Machan needs a certain audio cue.
Okay, here we go. Oh, okay. Oh no. Oh gosh, please. Okay, okay. Oh my goodness. All right, yeah. You can if you can see that if you mess this up, then it can really go so badly. Now, unfortunately, yeah. Unfortunately, now my HP count's not looking good.
Are you gonna use the backup Fury Fountain or no?
No.
Okay. Yeah, Armos Knight is scary because you can't use regular sword slashes on him. You need to use boot dashes or spin slashes.
Now we're gonna head our way back, and coming up is our is another trick that we're gonna do. It's called a Jesus jump.
Jesus jump.
Do you have to explain that?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So by jumping off into the water and buffering with the pause menu until we see the splashes, that's exactly 1 frame where we are allowed to jump again. And it can be pretty difficult, and if we do it just right, we can get to the screen session and get into this island where D6 is going to be. So this is how we skip having to go to D4 first and getting the flippers. And it lets us kind of just completely sequence break the game. Now let's see if we get the cutscene skip. Unfortunately not. We're gonna have to sit through this entire cutscene. Oh, never mind.
Yeah. Sometimes,
sorry.
Depending on how you do it, then you can eat, Bow Wow can eat late or not late. So that was a cutscene skip. Bow Wow can eat cutscenes. So powerful.
Yeah. Cutscenes are like a physical item that gets loaded into the screen in this game, and Bow Wow can eat them, which makes them skip. This is actually going to be important for a different trick. And now we're in D6. We're just going to be going through a few rooms using bombs a lot. There's whiz robes in this place, which can only be hurt by bombs at a very specific timing. So you can see Machan placed a little bomb there. With the right timing. And now we have the level 2 power bracelet.
Yeah, and I also got Piece of Power as well. Normally I'd get in the room before, but this is fine. It means I have to make up some kills later on, because right now I'm actually below my kill count. Something else to note about kills is that to keep track of your kill count is sometimes hard to do because Bow Wow, what enemies Bow Wow eats also impacts your kill count.
Yep, it's definitely one of the more kind of difficult parts of the run, but that's part of why people like to run no save and quit. Now coming up is a hard room. And nice! Yeah, you place one bomb and then you knock the last Wizrobe that's too far away into it. And that can be really hard to do with a Piece of Power, but M-Chan nailed it. And now we have some super jumps here in order to get up to that ledge. Same thing as before, it clips into walls. And this lets us get the boss key a lot earlier than we're supposed to be able to. We're basically just ripping straight through this dungeon at this point.
Yeah, so we're essentially doing this dungeon backwards now.
Yep.
Because when you're doing this dungeon normally, like when you have like the hook shot from the 5th dungeon, this is you're supposed to do this dungeon like the other side that I'm doing this on now. All right, horse heads. 1 second try. All right, good.
Not bad. Yeah, those are just pure RNG.
Yeah.
You just have to keep throwing them until they work. But now that we got through that, we are more or less at the boss.
Yeah, so basically, it's a 50% chance for the horse heads to stand up, which means you have a 25% chance for both of them to stand up.
Yep. And here's gonna be Facade, which is incredibly scary.
Yeah, let's see how this goes.
Oh wow.
Okay.
I can't believe he did it with only 1 heart.
Yeah, so scary. Yeah, those tiles do 1 heart of damage, so I would have died.
That was actually scary then.
I was actually really cautious there. Like, okay, but yeah, that is actually a pretty simple fight. But you do have to be cautious if you're low on hearts. Okay,
Facade is the easiest.
Okay, real quick. Normally it's a bomb trigger that I would go for. The owl's gonna talk to me as soon as I leave this dungeon, but I'm not gonna do the bomb trigger. It saves 2 seconds if I go for it, but it makes the bomb count really tight. And I would like to conserve my bombs right now, but then also come up as the scariest part of the run. I have to escape the dungeon since I don't have a way to swim out of the dungeon, and it's really hard because I do a lot of Jesus jumps in a row. Frame perfect one. It's a 2 buffer, I think. Okay, or a 3 buffer. Alright, this is the scariest part. Okay, we're good.
Nice! Yeah, I had to be quiet there. This is one of the most intense parts of the run.
Yeah, that is easily the scariest part of the run as far as losing time is concerned.
Yep, if you do the transition wrong, you can actually go out of bounds and just get your run invalidated. It's the only place I think where it can really happen in the current route we have.
There's another part, but it's not that bad.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, but come up next is Walrus Skip, which is gonna be our first introduction to explain bomb triggers. So I'll let you explain what bomb triggers are.
Yep. So remember what I said before about how cutscenes in this game are physical objects? Well, if you place 2 bombs in a very specific timing at the edge of a screen transition, which is one of the only places where you can do it, then the game gets confused and it kind of spawns the cutscene, even if you don't have what you would normally require in the run to do so. So normally here you need to get Marin, and you need to get the ocarina and a song, and Marin would come here and sing to the walrus, but we can just skip all of that using the bomb trigger. This is going to be happening again. It's just really cool.
Yeah, it really revolutionized the speedrun when bomb triggers got found.
Yep, otherwise we would need to actually grab the ocarina and do all of that, because there's just no way around this.
Also, however, it's worth noting, oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so M-Chan's buttons are locked right now. They can move around, but they can't press A, B, start, or select until they go into this cave, and that'll do it again. So there can be a scary situation where you kind of get soft blocked there if the bomb trigger doesn't go off. And we have Lamola, which is very hard.
Who? I don't know who that is.
Yeah,
I just kind of shoot arrows in that room because it's fun.
Yep, there's no reason for it. Lamola is a boss so hard you don't even see it before it dies. It does actually take some practice though, to pick up to get it down and then pick up the key before it falls down into the pit, which saves you some time.
Yeah, and I actually listen to the music to know when to grab the key without falling down.
Yeah, I remember there's a nice little key you can do for that. It does feel really impressive though, so that's nice.
So now we got the key to enter the 4th dungeon, so now we're gonna go to the 4th dungeon right now.
Yeah, we're going to D4 with 4 instruments already collected. It's just normal gameplay, right?
Yeah. It's actually interesting. One of the major routes before this particular route, this is a pretty long time ago, where we kind of went full. There's been quite a lot of route changes several years ago, and then the route that we had before this route was actually where we actually went back to doing the routes almost in the intended order, or at least as far as entering the dungeons go. But with this route, we kind of went out of that order now, because thanks Sagaz. And also, it's important that you opened up this dungeon, because one of the first roadblocks that Link's Awakening runners make when starting out is forgetting to open the dungeon.
It feels so bad when you go to get up to the top and you just, wait a second, there's no dungeon here.
Yeah, you lose a lot of time.
It's awful, but it happens a lot.
And then also, because we have the level 2 bracelet, the owl thinks that we're on our way to Dungeon 7, which is why that cutscene existed there.
Yep, Dungeon 7 is actually 2 dungeons away.
Alright, come up is a skip that I don't like, but everyone else does.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, got it.
Nice! Yeah, that there was obstacle skip. It saves like, what, like 3 frames? I don't know, it saves a minuscule amount of time.
It saves a quarter of a second, and we do it twice, so you save half a second if you go for it both times.
And you use like 2 to 3 seconds if you miss it.
Yeah.
It's straight up a bad idea to do it with how difficult it is, but it's kind of like a inside joke that you should always do it because it's stylish. And now we're in D4.
Yeah, so previously, historically, this dungeon was known to be one of those dungeons where you have to do it in 2 visits, but because in order to avoid the ghost quest, but we can do this in 1, because since we have the level 2 bracelet, it just skips the ghost quest entirely.
Yep, and M-Chan there was clipped into the wall, so that you could do this very tight corner jump that you're absolutely not supposed to be able to. But with the clip, you have just enough distance in order to make it. And now we're going to be doing another Jesus jump. To just skip half the dungeon, again. For me, the part out of the screen transition in water is probably the scariest one. You need to use a save and quit menu in order to allow yourself to jump out of that.
Yeah, and that Jesus jump skips having to fight Cue Ball, the mini boss.
Yep. But now we have the flippers now, so no more Jesus jumps. We don't need them.
There's a cool super jump right here. Got it.
Nice. Yeah, very similar to the Dongo skip, just a lot easier and low stakes. We clink off the P-hat. And that lets us skip everything to get the boss key, too.
Alright, hardest boss of the game. Let's do this.
Let's go.
Oh my goodness, I did it. How did I do it? I'm a legend.
Yep, if you use a little exploit to fall down really quick there, you can just get him with a sword slash and then a bomb arrow will finish him off. I do like the bomb arrow Zora mechanic in this game that just got put in on purpose.
Yeah. So normally when you're doing that fight, like, casually, without bombs or arrows, then you just, like, swim at a certain spot and then just mash sword, and that's it.
But this is more fun. And a lot faster.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they nerfed that out in the remake.
Makes sense. The fight feels very different in the remake.
Yeah. Alright, on our way to the 5th dungeon now, since we don't have to do the ghost quests.
Oh boy, I think this might be my least favorite one.
Oh yeah, this next dungeon is my least favorite dungeon in the game.
Yep, Catfish Cavern I think it was called?
Catfish Maw.
Ah. Yep, this one, you couldn't possibly Jesus jump into, even if you wanted.
You can if you're the task, but it's not human viable.
Oh. Oh, you can get into the...
Yeah, the task can do it, but it's not humanly viable.
That's insane. But yes, you have to swim a lot, and you have to dive down here. And apparently that's possible with Jesus jumps, but, we're not that crazy.
Yeah. Alright, but yeah, so this dungeon is insanely hard.
Yep. There's a room coming right up where M-Chan needs to kill all the enemies, and one of them is the Helmosaur that can only be hit from behind.
Yeah, but one of the exploits I'm doing is you can actually, if you're facing the same direction the Helmosaur's facing, then it assumes that you're hitting them from behind. So it makes it a little bit easier in that aspect, but it's still annoying.
Yep. And we're gonna have to do that one more time, because this dungeon has a lot of backtracking.
Okay, normally I would have Piece of Power, but I didn't get Piece of Power, so I'm actually really behind on my kill count right now. Okay, okay, there's Piece of Power.
Nice.
So I'm gonna kill this Helmosaur first. Okay, there we go. The Piece of Power is really useful in this dungeon. It saves quite a lot of time in this dungeon, because there's a lot of walking around that we do.
Movement and... The Piece of Power is great, because it helps with movement and boss kills. And here is the first Armos fight. Not Armos, Stalfos. And nice. Yeah, all you do here is you need to line yourself up perfect vertically, and then you shoot, you fill them with bomb arrows. So we're gonna be fighting that guy 4 times total throughout the dungeon. We have to in specific orders because he only shows up in those rooms when you fought the previous one, and the last one drops the hook shot. And here's the second one.
Yeah, so the first time, the first and 4th time, it takes 3 bombs to beat him. Second and 3rd time, it takes 2 bombs. So there's different strats for each Master Stalfos fight. But what you saw me do in the first fight is I actually overkilled him. When you overkill Master Stalfos, it actually kills him, which drops an extra key that you're not supposed to get at all. But that is actually useful for another trick coming up later.
Oh, nice! Didn't know that. Yeah. Part of why the strats look different too is because Stalfos 1 and 4 drop items that we need to pick up. So we manipulate them to move close to the screen. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, coming up is a very precise dash jump I'm gonna try and get.
Yep, we need a perfect boots jump to skip being the hook shot in order to get the boss key.
Okay, nice. First try.
Perfect!
It's actually much harder
really
than I made it look. It's actually easier to set up with Piece of Power. But yeah, that skips having to backtrack here later on when you get the hook shot.
Yeah. A lot of runners actually use a specific setup to line themselves up just right, so that's really impressive.
Yeah, and that's because you have a much smaller window to set that up. Whereas with Piece of Power, you have a lot of pixels to line yourself up with that. So I don't usually use the setup with Piece of Power.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. The movement speed definitely is gonna help out.
Okay, nice RNG.
This was like a super jump right there that I just forgot to mention entirely. They're just so often used that they're just like a part of the movement now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can actually try those at home, and they feel really satisfying to do.
Yeah, but on the 1.0 version, just...
Yeah, you do need LADX 1.0.
Okay, that was the last Master Stalfos fight right there. There's actually a way to skip a lot of this dungeon, but that's only useful in the 100% category just due to the items that we get in 100%. So we do have to do we have to do basically just most of this dungeon.
Yep. That's probably why it feels a lot longer than the others.
Yeah, that's probably the longest dungeon in the run. It used to be Dungeon 6 before all the glitches that we found within the past several months, but yeah.
And now we have the hook shot. It's surprisingly not as commonly used as you see, but there are a few really cool glitches that use it.
Yeah,
coming right up.
Yeah. First one right here coming up is called Hookshot Clip. So you can actually just hookshot in between the block and the pot right there. And I'm actually going to lose Piece of Power here on purpose, because I don't want Piece of Power for the boss fight.
This is one of the few bosses where it's a problem.
Yeah.
And also, if you noticed a few seconds ago, M-Chan was able to jump into a pit, and then right before he fell, use the hookshot there to extend the platform. And this is the boss.
Yeah, so it's a slime eel. He's random. You have to guess which hole he's going to come out from, which is a 50% chance. It takes 8 hits and not 8 damage. Okay, there we go. That was good luck right there. So the reason I not want Piece of Power for this boss is because enemies have longer iframes when you have Piece of Power. So in the case of this, you do not want to have Piece of Power. Otherwise, it's harder to get the 4 hits per cycle on the slime eel fight.
Yep, and you really want those since that's how you get the perfect 2-cycle fight. As a note, you can pick up heart containers with a hookshot, so that's a nice little time save there.
Alright, so our next dungeon is 7. We already did 6. So we're going straight to 7. Also, these jumps I'm doing in the water actually save just a little bit of time, so you do have to mash really fast in order to maximize your time save within those swimming screens.
Yeah, the ones that bonk against the ceiling?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime you're swimming in 2D section, you want to be doing that against the ceiling. Yep, and now we're going heading all the way back to Tal Mountains. 4D7.
Okay, so normally I would actually have to go south of Mabe Village to do what's known as the Signpost Maze in order to get a certain song that I need in order to actually do the 7th dungeon, but I don't have the ocarina, nor am I going to go get the song at all, and that's because coming up is a very scary trick, but before we do that, there's another trick coming up that I don't like to go for, that many people like to go for. But we're gonna see if I can get it.
I feel like I've heard this before. Yeah. Here it is, most vital trick in the run.
Hey, 2 for 2. Alright, there we go. There's my half-second save.
Skip. Nice.
Alright, but then coming up is a very scary trick. Very infamous trick that Link's Awakening is known for.
Yep, normally you need the flying rooster that you revive with the song in order to go over this giant pit. However, we don't have time for that. So instead we're going to do the scariest trick in the run where you lose like 15 seconds every time you fail. Here we are going to be getting a boots jump and then the hook shot. And by buffering with the save and quit menu to get a very exact frame, there's exactly 1 frame of the hookshot animation where you can get a second jump. The game thinks that you're on the ground, and it's exactly 1 frame. And you need to do it twice in order to jump over the pit.
Okay, that's unfortunate. So that's one of the reasons why this trick is really scary. If you fall down, you don't go back to the beginning of the screen. You fall right out. And which means now I have to try this again.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens.
It is a quite difficult trick, and some people try to go over it unbuffered, but that's just absolutely insane. And that's definitely not something we do during an event.
Okay, there we go. That's much better.
Nice. Yeah, this is probably one of the most impressive and difficult tricks in the run, even if it not necessarily look like it.
Yeah, it's definitely more impressive to when it's unbuffered, but and it does save 8 seconds over the buffered method that you saw me do. Sometimes more. Well, actually, likely more, because because a lot of time it takes multiple, but more than just frame perfect buffering. Yeah, it's really hard.
An interesting thing about a lot of these tricks, like the Villa Skip and Jesus Jump, is that the closer you're willing to cut it before you start buffering, the more time you can save. So there's an interesting element of like trade-off and skill to it.
The other thing that can happen with Rooster Skip is that Bow can get in your way. And so I could have actually saved when I fell down there. I could have actually saved myself from falling, but Bow Wow would have definitely been my way, which would have messed up my visual cue for buffering.
Yep, this is really the worst part of WoW. Like the POP mess up can be fine, but sometimes he just gets in your way in Rooster Skip, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Nice. Okay, that was another cutscene skip right there.
Very nice.
Okay, so if anybody who's played this game casually, who hates this dungeon a lot, well, we're definitely gonna be here for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I do that super jump, which already skips like half the dungeon.
Yep, you can just ignore the little switch box flips things by just jumping over them with a super jump. Or jumping on them, rather.
Oh.
And now we're going to be doing a bomb trigger. Yeah. So normally, you need to lug around this heavy ball of iron to smash into the pits, not into the pits, into the pillars, to break them all down and bring the rest of the dungeon down. But we don't have to bother with that, because we can use, that's a cutscene. We can use bomb triggers. Nice little naked super jump there. And yeah, pits are the other place where you can do bomb triggers. Yeah. Although the last one will be on a screen transition.
By placing 2 bombs within 4 frames within each other, which does require some decent mashing in order to do it well. Most people usually some people usually who are like not efficient at mashing usually like buffer the 4-frame window to place the second bomb.
Yep, you can just use start menu for that. It's not that bad. But you do have to mash if you want to do it unbuffered. Now, coming right up is another really cool trick, called Goomba Surf. So we're gonna need to clip ourselves into the wall with a very exact pixel. It has to be absolutely perfect.
And it's a 1/4 chance for the Goomba to go to the right, to the direction you want.
Mm-hmm. The Goomba needs to move right. So it is unfortunately a little RNG heavy.
Oh my goodness. Why is this not working?
Oh no. The Goombas just don't want to cooperate, huh?
I had 2 opportunities to actually do my... Okay, there we go. I had 2 opportunities to do my super jump, but my input did not actually go through to do my jump.
Oh no.
That was a very unfortunate time loss there that I could have gotten.
It happens.
But yeah, that's just the nature of grinding out this category. Where at least if you're going for it, there's actually another way. There's actually another way to complete this dungeon without doing Goomba Surf, and it doesn't require any RNG. Oh, hold on, I need to reset this fight now because I messed up. It loses, although it loses 15 seconds over getting first try Goomba Surf. But the Goomba Surf saves so much time over the other method that it's worth doing. Even if it takes you about a few tries. Although, since I lost so much time there, it would have been faster for me to do the other method. But if you're going for Goomba Surf, you're basically committed to doing Goomba Surf other than just doing the other way.
Well, it happens. Goomba Surf is just really hard in general. It has to be a very precise super jump. You need to get as much height out of it as possible in order for it to work.
Yeah, exactly.
That's also that's why we need to do be as little clipped into the wall as possible to do the super jump while still being clipped. And then the timings are also really precise to get the most height. But it's over now, and we have the 7th instrument.
Now we're gonna go to the 8th dungeon.
Turtle Rock. Now the name here is just straight up lifted from A Link to the Past.
Yeah, not to be confused with Link to the Past.
Yeah, there's a few dungeons that are taken from other. I think Tail Cave was like the name of a Zelda 1 dungeon. I'm not sure.
Okay, so here's Marin.
Yep, she wants us to rescue her. And we're not gonna bother.
Yeah, this
Good luck, Marin.
This makes me so sad every time, because I love Marin, but we have to go fast. It loses a minute because Marin tries to confess to you, Terran ruins the moment, and then the owl comes, because why not?
Oh my, it's like the whole cutscene bonanza.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, coming up is what's known as... Well, first of all, we have this mountain, where you can tell that Bow Wow is really not supposed to be with you anymore at this point. Because he's just kind of glitching all over the place. The game just doesn't handle him well alongside the falling rocks.
Yeah, it's because of the Moldorms.
Oh, that makes sense. That's a lot of linked up sprites. But coming up is going to be Flame Skip. Normally, you'd need to get the Mirror Shield around this point, in order to be able to withstand the spout of flame, because it pushes you back and heals you ridiculously quickly. However, the developers did not account for us being able to clip into walls. So by clipping into it and dashing just right, very nice.
And then here we do another bomb trigger here, because we do not have the song from Signpost Maze I was talking about earlier.
Yep, same song you used to get the rooster.
Yeah,
so we just do another bomb trigger.
And then we can actually just go right through the Turtle Rock boss, and we don't have to fight him at all. He's still there when you beat him. And actually, what's interesting is that when you bomb trigger him, he actually has 1 HP, but you don't have to worry about that at all. Okay.
800 donation mark, very nice. Thank you to everyone who donated. We're gonna do a little super jump here with an arrow, and then do this bomb arrow here to break this wall that we're not supposed to do this early on. And we're gonna do bookshot right now. It's a clip that we're gonna do here. Just line yourself up just right and put the hookshot in the B button, and you just hold the right button combinations and you slip right in. I don't know exactly why you need to have the hookshot in the B button specifically, but that's where the name gets from, and it's a really cool trick.
It's because when you press both of the buttons at the same frame, the A button has I think it's one of the buttons have priority.
Oh, that's really clever. Yeah, but that makes it work out, and it's a little bit like a flaw clip.
Yeah.
And then that was Blino. He's not very scary in this version.
No, yeah.
Although he does have one attack that if he hits you with it, you get sent all the way back to the start of the dungeon.
There is a way to skip him, but that counts as out of bounds. But even then, it's actually pointless in this category because, well, you have to find a way to get out of this room.
Yep. Can't save and quit out. And now we have the magic rod, the final item. I like it a lot. It kills stuff really fast, so we don't actually use it that much.
Yeah, no. Okay. And I was because I used too many bombs in D7. I'm actually going to take a detour to go to the refill room where there's a lot of pickups.
Yeah. So when I said we weren't going to use jumps anymore, I lied. There was one right there because lava is still unswimmable, and we can do the exact same trick. It's the same code, just a different thing preventing you from being able to swim. And there's the fire rod. If you like the magic rod, that's its a big moment. And with a little super jump here, we're gonna get this boss, where he just changes direction every time you super slash him. So if you do it with just the right timing, yeah, it's not that hard, but it does look easier than it really is.
And this room here, there's 27 different ways to do this room. That was my way, and they all take the same amount of time.
Yeah. The only thing that matters is that you want to, at the end, you can still move when you jump, even though your movement's locked, and you can use that to get to the chest faster. So that's nice. It's just a tiny little time save that we can do. And now, with the power of super jumps, we're going to skipping everything straight to the boss. We do a Jesus jump right here specifically just to clip ourselves into the wall, because there's no way to do it otherwise.
Oh, come on. Okay.
And then we just go to the boss.
This is Hothead right here. You just basically just mash fire. You just basically just shoot fire rod at him, fire on fire. Doesn't make much sense. Yeah.
The way his damage meter. Yeah. Oh, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad. I almost got the one cycle. You can actually beat him in one cycle. But I didn't quite get it. His HP is seemingly random. It's not that random. He just takes 0 damage in certain parts of the room, which doesn't make much sense. But yeah.
Oh, you got wing boys. But yeah, his damage meter is very weird, and he's gone now. But yeah, now we have all the instruments.
Yeah, so it's now time to beat the game. But then wait, you might notice something. We didn't do the trading quests, nor did we ever got the Ocarina and get the Battle of the Windfish. So how am I gonna beat the game?
Yeah. Well, if you're a student, you might already be suspecting that we can use a bomb trigger in order to skip needing to play the song. We've already done it like 2 times, so
and
it's not
tradition to a lot of to every marathon. We're gonna listen to the music here. First, I gotta do this bomb trigger right here. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, hold on. Okay. Okay, there we go. Alright, here we go. Okay, so there's a lot to explain here coming up. The first thing is, if you don't read the book in the library with the magnifying lens at all, then the path is always the same here in the egg. And then there's a lot to explain within the boss fight. I'm gonna let you take care of. Yeah.
Yep, so first of all, we are going to try to get a bomb trigger as we're falling down into the boss fight. And you'll tell if it works or not by whether the music cuts out.
And there's no text.
Yep. Did it go through?
Okay, there we go.
Very nice. So now we're going to see if we line our sword just right for the first phase of the boss, which is like a slime that you can only kill with the powder. You do it just right, you can just skip it entirely and just kill it. Very nice. Now, next phase up is going to be Aghanim. If you've played Link to the Past, you know how this goes. So, the first 2 balls are guaranteed to be the good red ones, but after that, there's a 50% chance that you'll get the blue ones that just mess you up. However, I believe that M-Chan has a specific manipulation for that. I'm not sure.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, that was the manipulation. I actually messed up, but I got lucky.
Very nice. Yeah, sometimes you get lucky. And coming up is going to be, I believe, Ganondorf?
Moldorm, but
no,
you can stun lock him in place.
Oh, you got the sunlock, nice. Yeah, if you get him at the very start, you can just keep mashing away at him. He doesn't die until you actually stop slashing, so you need to know how many hits to do. And next up is Ganon, who you can just mash your boots into over and over again. And he'll actually die before he ever gets to teleport or do anything cool.
Yeah, and then, next is Lanmola, and which is a spin slash, and then Deathel.
Yep, Lanmola also gets skipped entirely with a glitch. And now Deathel is probably one of the only other hard bosses. You need to jump over his arms and shoot arrows into his eye, which opens randomly. So now, ideally, M-Chan wants to get 4 arrows per eye open here for a 4 cycle. You need 16 arrows total. This is definitely one of the ones that's harder than it looks.
Okay. Yeah, the four arrows per cycle is very precise. If you're really good, you can actually get a 5th arrow in, but nobody ever goes for that.
Yep, and if you waste too much arrows here, on the eye close, the run is just over.
Yeah, well you can save it with bombs, but it's much harder to hit him with bombs.
Yep. But that was Deathel, and now with a little set up at the corner to get into the platform just right. And that's time.
Alright, so the time is 57:52, which is a time that I'm not really that happy about, because you know, there was some I got unlucky on a few places, but what can you do?
It happens.
Yeah. Aside from that, I'd like to say, aside from some of the luck-based parts that were out of my control, I'd say I played pretty well. I was able to nail basically all the things I want to do.
That's pretty good. We didn't mess up during the Dongo or Jesus jumps, thankfully.
Yeah, Moblin Skip didn't go well. Goomba Surf didn't go well. Then there was a few other oddities that were out of my control, but 57-52 is still alright.
It's not a bad time by any means.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I guess we'll just watch the credits because we have the time.
It's a really good credit sequence.
Thank you everyone for the GGs.
GG.
Yeah, I know I already said my thanks in the last run, but once again, thanks to the people involved, Tristnal and everybody else involved in the Link to the Cure event. I got to run two of my favorite speed games, New Super Mario Bros. 2 and Link's Awakening. Link's Awakening Deluxe used to be one of my favorite speed games way back in 2018, and then time goes on, you kind of just find games that are a bit more fun. But it's always nice for me to kind of come back to play this game every once in a while. It's a really fun speed game. The tricks are really cool, and it's always really fun to hang out with the community.
Yeah, I can definitely second that.
If you're interested in picking this game up, or even like other versions of this game, there's the original Link's Awakening, and as well as the Switch version. We have a pretty cool community across all three versions. If you are interested in picking up Link's Awakening in any shape or form.
Yep.
I do run all three versions of the game, but I mainly run either LADX or LA Switch. What's interesting is that all three versions of the game they're all really different from each other, despite them being similar games.
Yeah. LA, you'd think it'd be very similar to LADX as far as how it goes, because they look very similar. But actually, there's a ton of different stuff in it. I believe they don't even get the hookshot in that one.
In the main category, yeah. No, you don't get the hookshot at all. There's a few more oddities. The other major difference is that the rule set's different for some reason. Oh, also, right here, this looks a little strange because like the credits are strange. That's because the credits flicker at 60 frames per second, but the stream itself is at 30 frames per second, so it's kind of hard to read the credits. Yeah, the rule set's different. As a result, it actually changes basically everything that you can do across all the versions. So that actually, it's what makes running all three versions pretty unique from each other. Because I died earlier in the run from the shopkeeper, you don't get the secret ending that this game has when you beat the game without dying at all. That's because, because we skip a lot of the game, there's a part in the game where Marin wishes